Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Crazy, crazy.
Shopify helps you sell at every stage of your business. So you can sell it online,
Crazy, crazy.
Which goes with words never speak. I waited all this time to see you're still waiting around.
Crazy, crazy.
Burn live, y'all. Marijuanically keeping y'all connected. Hashtagging these red eyes. Changing the viewers I read. Keeping underage smoking off social media. Killing myself for your entertainment. Sitting here with friends and family. Starting a conversation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. I appreciate you tuning in to another Burn Live show. I had a pretty good weekend off. Yeah, I had a pretty decent weekend off. Covered a lot of news. Was in book face jail, so couldn't share out my content. So that one thing that kind of made me upset with me trying to share out my content with everybody and not getting the kind of views that I wanted. So it kind of made me a little depressed. Not too not too depressed, but made me a little depressed. Made me wonder what I got to do to make good content. But I was like, you know what, I'm keep pushing on. Today I got three major topics I'm kind of discuss about a little bit up in here. I would talk about this old folk tale about Pinocchio, the TV show thing that we didn't know about, covered up as kids, us 90s babies, some 80s babies too stories. I'm also going to be talking about San Francisco and their cleanup act, how they can clean up the streets less than 24 hours, nobody know, no camera crew, homeless people missing and stuff like that. That's a little thing that's going down. And also to get in a little bit of politics, January 6th tapes has been released and Democrats are having a meltdown. These are some of the small things I will be discussing and more on the Burn Live show tonight. I appreciate people tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, ooh, ooh. So that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Appreciate everybody that's sharing out my post and liking. And I'm sorry I missed a lot of people coming into the show. I see that a lot of places where I was posting, I was starting to grow a little bit of audience, and I got to go back over those pages and find those pages, try to redo those audience, y'all. So let's get into this. Shout out to everybody that shared the content. I appreciate it. I'm going late, a little bit live, a little bit normal. I'm going live a little bit later than normal. So, ladies and gentlemen, we all grew up watching Pinocchio. A lot of people probably watched the new live action. A lot of us probably watched the old cartoon and not really paying attention to the hidden messages. A lot of us watched Mickey Mouse shows and really didn't pay attention to the deeper messages that was in some of those shows. It's amazing how deep some of these cartoons were back in the day. But this particular talk that they're talked about has been coming across my feed a lot. So not only has it been coming across my feed a lot, it was like, man, it's coming across my feed just enough to where I felt like we had to talk about it. So there are a scene in Pinocchio where they talk about taking kids to an island. Um, I know nowadays there's actually been a court case about a guy that they take kids to an island and then kids don't come back normal. But what if they put it in a cartoon, letting us know that way back then this was happening, and not only did it happen, but it got exposed. And Joe Rogan is one of the best podcaster, or is the best podcaster out there. I just seen another person. Not too many. There's not too many podcasters get $100 million for a contract. I am a beginning podcast for the marijuana community, and I don't get a dime, not a penny, not a quarter. You know what I'm saying? To be under the scrutiny that some people are under, but to understand, to go do research, or to know things that other people don't know, and spread the joy, spread the love, spread the content out with other people is something amazing. Some things that we do have to sometime take the time to look out and to discuss and to go deeper and to dive under the mischief of what's going on and why you think stuff is like this put out there. So without further ado, I'm gonna let them go into this discussion, and we're gonna go further deeper into wondering why this took place in the first place.
Forever.
Yeah, they've
Forever, dude.
it's got to be going on right now still. It's gotta be-
100%. But
It's got to be happening somewhere where you can get away with it.
well, I mean, even in the Disney film in Pinocchio, it's unbelievable. The pub scene.
What are you talking about? The new one?
No.
The old one?
Yeah, in Pinocchio. And I
Isn't
think
there a new? I think there's a new Pinocchio. That's
there
what I was-
is. Tom Hanks
Four
is
new
in it.
ones.
Four
But
new
think-
ones?
Yeah, it became in the public domain, so anybody could make a Pinocchio movie now.
Oh, how creepy!
That is creepy. So
I'm
when
gonna
did the
boycott
first
all those
Pinocchio
movies.
come out?
Oh my God! It was probably like the fucking 40s.
Okay.
Or something.
Look up the pub
Was it?
scene. The pub scene
1940.
in Pinocchio. And you'll remember this when you saw it as a kid. It gave you a creepy feeling in your belly.
Let's see it. Pub scene in Pinocchio.
He talks about
Yeah.
bringing the boys to Pleasure Island. And then he starts whispering what happens to the boys, and the fox freaks out. He's like, but, and he goes, no, 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 no. They don't come back as boys. Watch it
Ooh.
right in your face.
Ooh. When do you think they started doing stuff like that?
Dude. He goes, we steal
Oh, look at
stupid
this.
little boys. It's the pub scene, the tavern or the pub. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, these guys are all hopped up. They're like, oh, you know, we're
Look at
making
this.
it. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Here we go.
It's great to be a celebrity, an actor's life for me. And the dummy fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And he still thinks we're his friends. And this Stromboli pay. Plenty.
Mm.
Shows
Now
you
watch.
how low Honest John will stoop.
That's how low I'll stoop.
Now, coachman,
So cocky.
what's your proposition? Well, how would you blokes like to make some real money? Well, and who do we have to, No, nothing like that. You see?
Even the point to make sure that we bring up in this is the fact that they was willing to talk about killing in a cartoon back then, Pinocchio. And even though he said no, but to even bring it up, this is a cartoon. We're not even preparing you for the real world, but we're talking about deep stuff like this.
I'm collecting stupid little boys. Stupid little boys. You know, the disobedient ones what play hooky from school. And you see... Yes. And I takes them to Pleasure Island.
What's your reaction?
Pleasure Island? But the law. Suppose they... No. There's no list.
There's no list.
Come back.
He said the law. Now we know about kidnapping today and age and stuff like that, y'all. We know about what is the word? Paraphernalia, pedophiles and stuff like that. So to be talking about that, what he said, 1960, this came out. We're talking about this in the 1960s. I understand that Jack the Ripper, there have been mass what are they called? Psycho killers all over there. There have been female psycho killers. Don't forget that. But to bring this up in a cartoon, how many other cartoons came out to where they was talking about hidden messages that was deep that you can actually look up in today's society.
Boys! Now, I've got a coat so even at midnight. We meet at the crossroads. And no double crossing. No scout around. In any good prospects you find, bring him to me. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I got plenty.
What is that?
It's so creepy because, like, what value are boys to him? That's the thing. It's like they're going to kidnap these boys, but why?
And they're not going to kill him.
Oh, Jesus
No,
Christ.
no. You want to make real money. And the line before it, like, we'll stoop to anything for this much. And that's what people don't understand. That power will bring the pure demonic devil out of you if that's who your God is. And this fucker was like, she's like, you want to make a real man? We steal
Boys.
stupid little boys. We bring them to Pleasure Island. And then you see the fuck, he goes, Pleasure Island?
So they must-
and he goes, no, they don't come back as little boys.
So you got to think, in 1940, when they're writing this, the guys that are writing this, they must have probably heard stories about children getting sex trafficked. They must have heard those stories because we've heard those stories. We've
Yes.
heard those stories as adults.
Yes.
Where there was always stories about some weird government in Italy, was it say, where the original story was written, the donkey is a symbol of stupidity. The moral behind Pleasure Island is that little boys who scoff at education and moral codes set forth by their parents, preachers, and authority figures will engage in jackass behavior instead, such as fighting, vandalism, underage drinking, and often destined to grow up to become men who have no option to make a living except through back-breaking manual labor. And there are plenty of people in the world, such as the coachmen, who will take advantage of that. I think maybe there's a little more going on there. Like your interpretation of that, that's such a shallow interpretation of them kidnapping boys and saying they don't come back as boys.
We're just trying to help their education.
And then he's evil. So, like, what value would he have for what's the value?
So to go creeper down this manhole that they're going down, this is a cartoon probably to teach the elite about what to do and what to look for and things to impress them. You know, I don't know. Understandable is creepy, but damn, if this was like one of the, you know what I'm saying, over the top, out there in your face, hidden gems that we were so called going through. Imagine what really other hidden stuff we were going through. Like for real, for real. What real hidden things were we really going through? What really hidden secrets, hidden videos? I was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. I would hate to find out that in my turtles that, you know, they was going through some bullshit that I didn't know nothing about. Oh yeah, they was going through it all, bro. They was going through hell. I would be pissed. But now you seeing that, you know, well, especially with the paraphilia. Paraphilia has been around in people things for a minute, in a minute, in a minute. So they also have been put on this so-called plateau or mind frame to where they're out in the open, where they get recognized and stuff like that. So it does really kind of matter what you're looking for or what you're trying to position yourself in to make yourself a hero or non-hero. But the hidden messages is definitely got to be creepy. So not only that, it made me get to wondering why we was sitting up here. It really did make me get to wonder. if this Pinocchio thing was so deep, real quick, just on some humbug, what other elaborate dark secrets can we just run across real quick, just to sit up here and discuss and wonder? I'm just got me kind of curious. So while we was up here saying that, Death Rogan, like I said, it every other day that's going across my feed. So it's like I had to talk about it just to get so just to skip this a little further and get into it. Let's see what else we can
Number
find.
15, Squidward's Theory. If you're familiar with creepypastas, you're probably also familiar with the Squidward meme of him taking his own life. The terrifying meme started in the dark corners of the internet like 4chan and Reddit, where people would modify still images of the show SpongeBob SquarePants and add a little horror and creepiness to it. Hence the name creepypasta. That's where the meme of Squidward taking his own life began. In the meme, you could see the fictional character with a black background and shiny red eyes. It was quite horrifying, actually, but it stayed amongst the horror fan base of the internet for years, till now. The show's animators decided to incorporate the meme in one of their episodes, which is very strange since the main demographic of the spectators are still children, and the subject is a little dark, to say the least. The episode in question shows SpongeBob and Squidward as they explore a town that mysteriously doesn't adhere to the rules of logic. Then, suddenly, a row of doors appears, and Squidward proceeds to open one of them to see what's on the other side, only to find alternate versions of himself. At this point, the episode is already quite nightmarish, but it gets worse. One of the doors clearly shows him after taking his own life, and it's terrifying.
Before we go on, like this video.
That's crazy if they really put the psychedelic mind of committing suicide. So we putting suicides up in cartoon, and they were like, "Oh man, we're not grooming your kids. We're not teaching your kids this." This
is about the Holocaust.
The Holocaust.
As crazy as dark cartoon theories go, this might be the darkest. Some people believe that Toy Story 3 is about the Holocaust. You know, when Adolf Hitler killed 6 million people. How can a children's movie be about such a dark episode of our past? Well, for starters, the speech that Woody gives at the beginning of the film is almost identical to one in The Pianist, an award-winning Holocaust drama made by Roman Polanski. All the toys then decide to seek refuge in the attic, which is clearly a reference to Anne Frank, who was a Jewish little girl that had to hide in an attic from the Nazi soldiers. The toys are then all crammed into a box and taken away to a daycare center, which is a clear reference to the trains that took people to the concentration camps. You could argue that a daycare center's not a concentration camp, but in the movie, it isn't a happy place for the toys. The children constantly abandon them until they are too damaged. They then get sent down the waste chute, which might also be considered as a gas chamber. The similarities are too many to be a coincidence. Number 13, Mr. Krabs Rescued Pearl.
I think that one of the biggest, deepest tragedies of all time, took place and had the audacity to be up here and be known. That's something that's kind of hard to. That's a hard pill to swallow, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but I do believe that is truly a hard pill to swallow, to sit up here and say, yeah, Holocaust. We made a whole good cartoon. And Toy Story was a good cartoon. Toy Story made a lot of money. If y'all don't know, if y'all don't remember, shoot, what is it? 4 of them? There's fucking 4 Toy Stories. So that should let you know that, yeah, we made progress. We made, oh wow, it's deep. Now I'm not gonna go into all of them. I don't even want to go to one, especially ones that I know something about, like this.
Smurfs children's TV show is anti-Semitic. He starts by stating that Smurfs live in a political dictatorship. They are discouraged from taking any kind of initiative, and they all eat
What's the difference between selling on a marketplace and selling with Shopify?
Big.
When you build a store with Shopify, there are
My bad.
together in the same communal room. There's only one leader, and they rarely leave their home country.
Papa Smurf! Papa Smurf! Are you all right?
I'm fine.
It's starting to sound like communist Russia, and there's more. Papa wears he starts by stating that Smurfs live in a political dictatorship. And then we have the number one enemy of the state, Gargamel, which Bueno says is an anti-Semitic caricature of a Jew. In other words, your favorite kids show is a totalitarian utopia. There's even one episode where the Smurfs are bitten by a fly and their skin turns black and they lose the ability to speak. And that clearly has colonial overtones and also profound and clear racist traits. The craziest part about this theory is that it fits perfectly. It was right in front of our eyes all this time and we didn't even notice. Number 11.
Hold on. If they gonna say that, it's hard to believe that yet again, Smurfs. I mean, they did just, man. It's like, man, is cartoons ever preparing us for the future or just, you know what I'm saying, entertaining us? Now, I understand cartoons were just truly just made to, you know, distract us from our parents. You know, that was the main point. Then, you know, maybe some rich guy was like, okay, so distracting from parents, let's mold the kids into what we want them to be while the parents are not paying attention to the kids. Now, that deeper rabbit hole to go down and say that that's the theory, that's what they're thinking about, that's what they was on, then I'm gonna have to say, yeah, okay, cool. That's pretty much it right there. Okay. That's pretty much it.
Number 15. Squidward's theory.
No. Okay. What did they finna say about Snow White, y'all? We finna hear this.
The theory that the Disney movie Snow White is about cocaine addiction has been around for a long time, but it's easy to understand why. There are so many different...
Hold on, wait a minute. Now, listen here. I know white people like to do their coke. I know white people love doing drugs. Come on now, let's be real. White people love doing the bumpy face too. They love the white girl. They love the sniffer. But damn, y'all made a cartoon about it. Hey, hold on, wait a minute. And not only let's go. We're gonna go deeper into this right here, just because it's up here, and y'all know the controversy of the Snow White movie that's come out, where it's supposed to be about falling in love, and you trying to tell me that Snow White was not about falling in love? Germany, yeah, wasn't this a Germany cartoon? Okay.
different coincidences that it might just be true. First of all, the name of the main character, Snow White. Now, I don't know if you know what cocaine looks like, but it is literally a white powder that looks exactly like snow. Then there are the names of the 7 dwarves, which are named after their personalities. And believe it or not, they match exactly the different stages of cocaine addiction and withdrawal. The first 2 are happy and grumpy, and those make a reference to the mood swings that are caused by using cocaine.
Yeah, man.
Gosh, she, what a monster. Covers 3 beds.
Addicts will have very aggressive mood swings several times a day. And then we have dopey, sleepy, and sneezy, which are nods to actual stages of being on the drug. Dopey literally means high. You sneeze a lot when you take cocaine because it's a powder and you take it through your nose. And then you finally feel incredibly sleepy after having spent all your energy running about. And finally, we have Snow White's big sleep, which could be an overdose. Or is that going too far?
That is too funny. That is too funny. I'd rather hear that cocaine overdose than what is going on and talking about, oh, we trying to change her attitude by not falling in love. No, It's not about the Wicked Witch. It's about she was getting high. Come on, bro. Now that to me is what you would call funny and a classic. Sad, true indeed, sad, but funny and a classic. I'm sorry, y'all may disagree with me on this, but that is too damn funny for me, bros. That's too damn funny for me. That's too funny. I'm gonna go into a couple more. Uh, you know what? I'd rather hear about the Garfield. No bull crap.
Watch the latest live TV shows on a variety of networks with YouTube TV. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
They really trying me with these commercials.
Number 9. Garfield is dying of starvation. A series of Garfield comic strips was released in October 1989 that literally freaked everyone out. They were about Garfield waking up only to realize he was in an empty and abandoned house, and finally accepting that not only was he alone, but that he had been for many years already. So basically, all the joyful strips that we are all so fond of a grumpy, lasagna-loving cat were merely Garfield's dream, his way to escape from the nightmare of his real life.
I can't believe you'd try to give Nermal away.
People were very quick to come up with their own theories. Some thought the cat had died and gone to hell. Others thought that Garfield was a stray cat starving to death and hallucinating about a home and an owner that fed him every day. The second theory is one that seems to make more sense, given that Garfield mainly only dreamed of food and is absolutely obsessed with lasagna. Although Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, has often repeated that the Halloween strip was just a way of freaking people out, there were still a lot of skeptics out there that think all the other strips were a dream inside the Halloween one. What do you think? Number 8. Scooby-Doo was set during an economic depression. Have you ever wondered why it is that every single one of the places the characters in Scooby-Doo visit is completely run down? There is an urban legend that says it's because the show was set during a terrible economic crisis that was so devastated it even affected celebrities, famous athletes, and important scientists. Why else would all these people with the skill sets of having high-paying jobs devote their lives to petty crime by putting on costumes of scary monsters? It would also explain the fact that every school they visit is empty without any sign of student life anywhere.
Old Horrible really said a frightful mouthful.
But we're not gonna let that scare him.
And finally, given that the gang is constantly driving their van with no clear destination, there's a big possibility they're simply homeless nomads. The other famous theory about Scooby-Doo is that him and Shaggy are very high all the time. And if you think about it, it fits. That's why they sleep all the time, and they're constantly hungry, called the Munchies. It also explains why they're very slow and forgetful, all signs of marijuana smoking. And finally,
but then they saw detectives and stuff like that. That's a cool. That's whatever. That's funny. I guess that's funny. But the conspiracy about the Pinocchio and actually putting out there saying that we're out here kidnapping kids. It's like Pinocchio was all about kid trafficking. It was about kid trafficking. They should have just let it off with that and just stuck to that. I don't know what y'all think about that. If y'all okay with that, I know y'all probably not okay with y'all know y'all not okay with that. So to move on, y'all. Gotta move on. Gotta move on. We talk about San Francisco. We talk about California, Detroit, Chicago, New York City. Especially when we get into this political act, we definitely talk about these guys and what they do and what they don't do and how they should clean up their city and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Joe Biden goes to San Francisco and he brings the president of China to San Francisco and they clean up San Francisco in a day. And people are alarmed, people are celebrated, but people are not understanding like the concept. Like, we pay taxpayer money. This is what we expect, and this is how y'all should be coming to your governor and mayor and tell them this is what we expect. Not when somebody comes from out of town. We pay taxes here. Okay. I'm supposed to be actually putting the description down at the bottom when we actually discuss some things. I gotta remember that. So, ladies and gentlemen, to clean up my city, if you cleaned up, hey, Joe Biden came out here to Nevada and did that, and then they cleaned up and they like got rid of the homeless out here in Nevada. I ain't gonna lie, I'll be a little pissed. I'll be a tad bit pissed. They say we don't pay state taxes out here in Nevada, which is bullshit. We do. I should show y'all a Nevada receipt where it says Nevada tax. That is state tax. It's not federal. There was such a deep. So I want y'all to hear the stories that people have been telling about San Francisco. This is wow.
Francisco are not real happy with the city's decision to deep clean ahead of Biden's meeting with Xi Jinping. Danielle Rabkin is a gym owner in San Francisco and joins me now. Danielle, why couldn't they do this before?
That's a great question, Stu. I have to say, I'm thrilled that they are doing it now, because if it wasn't obvious over the years, it sure is glaringly obvious now that the people in power do not care about causing harm to their constituents in order to push their own personal agendas. So let this serve as a reminder to all of us that they're being super transparent about the fact that they don't care and they just want to look good under the national spotlight.
How long do you think it'll take before it goes back to the way it used to be?
It's funny. San Franciscans have been joking about this over the last few days. Is it going to take a few days or a few weeks? Some people think it's going to take 30 minutes. Don't be fooled that this is not a permanent change. This is not an impetus for change. I truly believe things are going to go back the way they are pretty darn quickly.
Does it affect your business and how much business?
To be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna say give it about a month or two. You know what I'm saying? Knowing that this was world breaking news, knowing that everybody covered it, knowing that the governor, sorry, I got the hiccups, y'all. The governor of California is gonna probably be running for president probably next year or the next 4 years after Trump or whoever gets into office. So this cleanup in San Francisco to make him look good, to make him the governor of California, is gonna definitely stay in football for a while, but it is alarming, the coverage. That's all.
You can do.
100% it affects my business. It's incredibly frustrating. San Francisco is already a very difficult city to do business in. It's very expensive. There's a ton of regulations, permitting. The rent here is astronomical. So we need all the help we can get to survive. And having squalor on the streets makes it very difficult. People don't want to live here. And with the rise of work from home policies, they don't have to live here anymore. San Francisco's gotten away with being really poorly run, and they're not getting away with it anymore because people aren't forced to stay here for work. So I find for sure that it's always been a very transient city, but it's more so now than ever before. People are leaving all the time.
But what I don't understand is why local people don't elect different politicians.
Also very frustrating. I don't think anyone can expect there to be change unless change happens at the ballot box. We need to try something different. Nothing's changing. We're pouring hundreds of millions of dollars in this city alone. Forget what the state is spending, and we're not seeing change.
Don't nobody believe in voting. 1/3 of people in America votes. 1/3 of people in America votes. For every pothead that's set up in the state that got their state legalized. After they legalized the state, it didn't went recreational. You didn't vote no more. That's why I make this channel. That's why I do what I do, because I want to call out a community that can help change stuff like this. It is recreational in San Francisco. So why is it like this? Why is it like this? Why? Yeah, I know why.
Change. Why not try something different? I completely agree with you, and I really hope that this serves as a wake-up call to people.
Well, Danielle, I do hope it stays clean exactly where you are and where your business is, but I don't expect it to stay real clean for very long, and that's a fact. Danielle Rabkin, thank you very much for being on the show.
Is it sad that news anchor be like, oh man, it's not gonna stay clean? Mr. Clean. Huh? It's not gonna stay clean. It's not gonna stay clean so bad to where it goes to the White House. Yeah. Stories go to the White House and we get to ask the White House and y'all know the press secretary get to answer some questions. And these are the questions and these are the answers and these are the stuff we go through.
Preparing our Thanksgiving meals, grocery inflation is at its lowest level in over 2 years, with prices for eggs, milks, bacon, and fresh veggies lower than last year.
Who was the president last year that spiked up the prices so damn high? So now you're going to say like it's lower than last year, like that makes a fucking difference. Okay.
In fact, according to the American Farm Bureau, the cost of a Thanksgiving dinner fell this year. Prices are down for turkey, stuffing, peas, cranberries, pie crust, and whipping cream. We had a big discussion about whipping cream in the back. It's like, I don't know what whipping cream is. I know whipped cream, but not whipping cream. Anyway, because wages are rising, this Thanksgiving dinner is the 4th cheapest ever as a percentage of average earnings. Finally, as we look ahead to holiday shopping, since last year, prices for toys are down about 4%, used cars and trucks are down 7%, and TVs are down 9%. Lowering costs for Americans continues to be the president's top economic priority, from strengthening supply chains to lowering energy and healthcare costs to cracking down on price gouging by banning hidden junk fees. President Biden's policy will continue bringing relief to American families. Meanwhile, instead of lowering costs for middle class families,
that's the idea what politics do. We're gonna lower price. We're gonna raise prices up in the beginning, then we're gonna lower prices in the end to prove to people, to show the people, hey man, this is what we did. This is what we own. I get it. It's a fight of a fight. It's a move of a move. It's a chess move of a chess move. And this is how she presented to it. I mean, she's presenting a good damn present. I want us to hear this because without us hearing this, and nobody really discussed this and talks about this as much, for real, unless, you know what I'm saying, they got some angle. I just think after Joe Biden went to San Francisco and cleaned up the streets, I'm like, hey, what else has he done? You know what I'm saying? Even though we know the poll numbers are down and Joe Biden is losing, but you know, they don't believe in it. You know, the Bidenomics is working. So, you know, I'd rather for you, the audience, and me, the the commentator, listen to the Bidenomics and where it affects from.
Special Republicans are trying to lower costs for the wealthy and special interests, lower taxes, to be more exact, including big corporations that are fighting tooth and nail to stop the president's efforts to ban junk fees. Now, today, on Transgender Day of Remembrance, we grieve the 26 transgender Americans who were killed this year. Year after year, we see that these victims are disproportionately.
This right here, I feel like somebody's just like we don't want to hear. Transgender Day is made up. Like, how in the hell do they get Gay History Month, Pride Day? They get everything. They get something once a month to make sure they get remembrance. So that is weird as hell, bro.
Black women and women of color. No one should face violence, live in fear, or be discriminated against simply for being themselves. As the president said, there's still more to do to meet the promise. And it's why this administration has taken urgent action to strengthen rights and protect the safety of transgender Americans and all LGBTQ plus Americans. As we mourn the loss of lives that have been taken too soon, we must also recommit ourselves to never stop fighting until all Americans can live free from the discrimination and also from hate. With that, Admiral John Kirby is here today to take any questions that you may have, obviously on the foreign policy front, and to give any updates that we have on the Middle East. Admiral, you're right there.
My name is Tyler Devereaux. I'm inviting you to attend my brand new 2-hour live masterclass. And I'm about to show you what 99% of real estate investors don't understand.
We'll just move right to the top, right? So today, I think you know, Secretary Austin is in Kyiv to meet with Ukraine's leaders and reinforce our staunch support for Ukraine's fight for freedom against Russia's brutal invasion. The Secretary underscored President Biden's abiding commitment to provide Ukraine with the weapons and equipment that it needs to retake its sovereign territory and defend itself. Now in Kyiv, Secretary Austin announced a new security assistance package using previously authorized presidential drawdown authorities. It includes Stinger anti-aircraft missiles and additional HIMARS.
For one, the reason why I be playing this is to show y'all, lovely people, that I'm willing to put up something that's, for one, coming out of their mouths during somebody's administration. So you can hear exactly what people was on the White House mind, what the taxpayers' money is going for, what we're paying for, what we're getting ourselves into. This is something I think this is needs to be discussed and talked and brought to light. So when people discuss with me, and I have discussions all the time about it, I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear that because I discuss it on my podcast. And oh yes, I am saving a day to do black supremacists. I can't wait to put that up there. I can't wait to talk about black supremacists. But I'm saving that for a special day.
Systems, additional HIMARS ammunition, 155 millimeter, 105 millimeter artillery rounds, Javelin and AT-4 anti-tank systems, and of course millions of rounds of small arms ammunition. This announcement will obviously help meet Ukraine's immediate battlefield needs, but only just that. Again, we want to urge Congress to pass the supplemental request that we put in front of them to allow us to keep supporting Ukraine in an unimpeded, uninterrupted way. The runway continues to get shorter with each and every passing assistance package that we provide them. As President Biden has said, When aggressors don't pay a price for their aggression, they'll cause more chaos and death and destruction. They just keep on going. And the costs and the threats to America and to the world will keep rising. So the actions that we take, and just as critically, the potential actions we don't take, will reverberate for many years to come. Speaking of that, I'm sure you saw the op-ed piece that the president wrote for the Washington Post over the weekend, laying out how the world faces an inflection point right now. Again, about where the choices we make will determine our future for generations to come. As he noted, we continue to stand firmly with the Israeli people as they defend themselves against Hamas, a terrorist group that has vowed to wipe Israel off the map and has promised to conduct attacks similar to the ones on September 7th of October, again and again and again. So President Biden and the team here is doing everything we can to help get the hostages that Hamas took, get them released, including young children and, of course, Americans that are in that pool. Now, I know this is of great interest to all of you. I just want to let you know we're still working this hour by hour. I do not have an update for you on the hostage deal that we're trying to negotiate. But as you heard the Deputy National Security Advisor say yesterday, we believe we're closer than we've ever been. So we're hopeful, but there's still work to be done, and nothing is done until it's all done. So we're going to keep working on this. We're also working to increase the flow of life-saving humanitarian assistance, food, water, medicine. We're calling for respecting the international law in terms of minimizing the loss of innocent lives. And of course, we're continuing to advocate for humanitarian pauses so that people can get out of harm's way and that aid and assistance can get in. And of course, you saw us levy multiple rounds of sanctions to degrade Hamas's financial support to our national security establishment. But that doesn't mean that we accept or agree with or condone in any way that anti-Semitic rhetoric that he pushed.
Thank you, John. Does the U.S. have any assessment of what the Israeli military is describing as CCTV footage of Hamas bringing through hostages through Al-Shifa Hospital on October 7th?
I don't.
On the hostages, if women and children end up being released first, which is what it sounds like the situation is probably headed towards, does the U.S. have any sense of how many in that mix might be American citizens?
I don't want to get ahead of where we are, MJ. I mean, I know that
these are the
everybody's
questions
interested in
that
the
you would think
numbers,
they'd be asking the
who they're gonna
president,
be.
but they're gonna
We're
ask
working that through
these
literally in real time.
the press secretary, the
with both
secretary
sides.
of defense,
So
and
I
they're supposed
think
to
it's
ask the
better if I
question.
just
Then they don't know how to
don't
answer these
speculate about
questions,
what
or
that pool
they
is
don't
gonna
have
look
no
like.
answers
Obviously, we
for
are
us
laser focused on
about
the
what's
American
going
citizens
on.
that we know are
Can
being
y'all
held
dig
hostage. We want
it?
them out. All
Yes,
of
we
them. Everybody
can.
should be out now. But here we are in a negotiation, and we're getting close. It was really significant what President Xi was willing to commit to for the first time now in several years. I mean, they're really going forward here and willing to take law enforcement action to shut down the export of these ingredients, the precursor chemicals that the labs, largely in our own hemisphere, are creating to make fentanyl. It's a big step forward, and we're grateful for that. And we'll see how they are in execution. And I think we all need to understand that it may be some time before you see the practical results of this crackdown on the precursors, but we're grateful for that. But it's not just the precursor chemicals. I'll try it again in English. But it's the labs in our own hemisphere that are taking those chemicals, those ingredients,
The number
making
one
fentanyl,
killer in America,
and then moving it
fentanyl, y'all. Don't
north
forget.
up to our borders, and it's a serious problem. And
It's
again,
a
as the
serious
president
problem.
said at the press conference, this agreement will save lives, will save American lives. And President Xi said he was committed to helping with that.
Before turning to the second question, just to follow up on that, the Chinese president's in charge of a single-party state. He's said in the past that he'd crack down on fentanyl, and U.S. deaths hit an all-time record last year. I mean, is President Biden not going to consider him personally responsible if American deaths do not go down?
He has said he was going to be personally responsible for stemming the flow of these chemicals out of China, and we're grateful for that. That's going to take a little bit of time as he goes back to Beijing and puts those processes in place, those law enforcement actions. We're grateful for that.
Second question. Protesters here in D.C. and New York, across the country, They've settled on a nickname for the president. They've been calling him Genocide Joe. They've wrote it on the gates. Response from the White House to that nickname that they've settled on.
We're not worried about nicknames and bumper stickers. I mean,
What? Genocide Joe. Damn, bro. I'm worried about names. I'm worried about names when the names get so popular and make it to the White House. Then we got a problem. Now we Genocide Joe. Stop playing with your boy.
it's First Amendment free speech. The president's focused on, as he wrote in his op-ed, on making sure that we can continue to support Israel as they fight a terrible terrorist group, Hamas, and as we all work together to get humanitarian assistance in and get people out, including hostages. I said this the other day. Again, people can say what they want on the sidewalk, and we respect that. That's what the First Amendment's about. But this word genocide is getting thrown around in a pretty inappropriate way by lots of different folks. What Hamas wants, make no mistake about it, is genocide. They want to wipe Israel off the map. They've said so publicly, more than one occasion. In fact, just recently. And they've said that they're not going to stop. What happened on the 7th of October is going to happen again and again and again. And what happened on the 7th of October? Murder, slaughter of innocent people in their homes or at a music festival. That's genocidal intentions. Yes, there are too many civilian casualties in Gaza. Yes, the numbers are too high. Yes, too many families are grieving. And yes, we continue to urge
they
the Israelis to
gave
be as
your
careful and cautious as
president
possible.
that you voted
That's not going to stop,
for.
from the president right on down. But Israel is not trying to wipe the Palestinian people off the map. Israel's not trying to wipe Gaza off the map. Israel's trying to defend itself against a genocidal terrorist threat. So when we're going to start, if we're going to start using that word, fine, let's use it
That's
appropriately.
interesting. That's funny. No bullcrap.
I wanted to ask you about White House advisor Amos Hochstein's visit to Israel. Can you give us a sense of what the goal of these talks are? And does his visit signal that the White House is concerned about military action, Israeli military action in Lebanon? And then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, Amos is in Israel today.
I'm glad you're here, mate. I'm sorry that everything's so old-fashioned.
I'll tell you, I'm going to have to take that question. I have not seen that referral by South Africa. So before I go talking out of school here for our UN ambassador, we'll take that question and we'll get back to you.
Okay, I ask a follow-up question. It's almost the first year anniversary of the U.S. Africa Leaders Summit. President Biden said he plans to travel to Africa within a year. Do you have any updates when the president will travel?
I do not.
Thank you.
Is there an assessment of the U.S. on the level to which Hamas has been degraded over the last several weeks?
We don't have an independent assessment that I'm aware of. That's a question better put to the Israeli Defense Forces.
Is it something that I know that you have a lot of communications with the Israelis inside of their operation. Is that part of what the communications are between the I mean, I'm trying to get a sense of sort of what the next steps are and how long a campaign this may need to be based on that level of degradation.
Those are all great questions for the Israeli Defense Forces. This is their operation. Now, yes, we're in touch with them daily, and they provide us their perspectives. They provide us updates. I'm not going to, from this podium, characterize those conversations. I'm certainly not going to quantify the degree to which Hamas has been degraded. They are continuing to go after their leadership, particularly in the north of Gaza, but really that's a better question for them.
Thank you so much. Has the president called the president-elect of Argentina, or does he plan to do so? And maybe a wider question, does the administration think that this president-elect is the right man to reform the economy in the country?
So on your first question, I don't have an update on the president's call sheet to talk about today, but obviously I'm sure Karine and her team will keep you informed as things progress. I probably saw it. There was a tweet by Jake Sullivan congratulating him on his win. We look forward to working with him in his administration. Argentina is a terrific partner in the region, and there's an awful lot of things we share in terms of values, value of democracy, human rights, and just just hemispheric security and economic concerns that we'll look forward to working with him and his team on.
Joey, last question.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I know you've been careful on what you can say regarding the hostage negotiations, but are you able to confirm that we're talking, that they're centered on women and children, getting women and children specifically out?
I'd really rather not. But obviously, as I said in my opening statement, we want to see specifically.
Thanks. Changing gears. Will there be an order to lower flags to have staff to mark Mrs. Carter's passing? And is the president planning on attending her funeral?
So let me just say at the top, I know you heard from the president and the first lady yesterday on the passing of the former first lady. I just want to say certainly that their thoughts are with President Carter and the entire Carter family. As the president said yesterday, Jimmy and Rosalind Carter have been dear, longtime friends, and Rosalind Carter was an extraordinary, extraordinary first lady. She was a champion for equal rights and opportunities for women and girls, an advocate for mental health and wellness for every person, and a supporter of the often unseen, uncompensated caregivers of our children, aging loved ones, and people with disabilities. The president and the first lady are thinking of her and of him and keeping
Sent a
the
whole
Carter
speech,
family
got a
in their
whole
prayers
speech good,
today as
good
well.
and ready
As it
for
relates
that
to
ass.
any potential travel, the president and the first lady plan to pay respects to the former first lady. Don't have anything to share at this time on details or anything to confirm just yet, but certainly as we have information or more details to share, we certainly will share that with all of you. And as it relates to the lowered to half staff, the flag being lowered to half staff, yes, we will certainly do that, and we're certainly.
You see how she took us through that whole adventure just to say, yes, we're going to have us. Wow.
We will follow, and we'll do that in accordance with protocols and details of when and how long that will happen. We certainly will share that at an appropriate time.
Okay, one more, another topic. How is the president planning to mark his birthday? I asked because he mentioned it during the turkey party. It looks like he's got some family here. Are we going to have like a party or a dinner?
So he's gonna do what they normally do, how they celebrate the president's birthday. There's a tradition, pardon me, which they're gonna keep to that tradition, which is they'll be able to celebrate the president's birthday as a family together in Nantucket later this week, and certainly we'll do that with coconut cake, which is something that they traditionally do.
Last year, we all remember the messy holiday travel season. I know the administration has taken
They
steps
is
to try to
not
improve
getting to
compensation
what
for
I'm trying
travelers
to
who
listen
face
to.
delays.
And we are going to continue to certainly call that out, condemn those types of hateful comments that could be incredibly dangerous. And so we will, by Elon Musk.
On X, given Elon Musk's comments.
So I don't have anything to announce at this time. I know they want to get to on time, and so we'll certainly be vigilant and on top of it.
And if I could just ask one follow-up on Nancy's question. Some advertisers have pulled their ads from X, formerly known as Twitter. Is the White House at all considering suspending its official White House or the president's accounts on X, given Elon Musk's comments?
So I don't have anything to announce at this time or any internal conversations on that particular question. But we've been very clear. You heard from this White House after those abhorrent, as you heard from us, comments were made by Elon Musk, and we are going to continue to certainly call that out. Condemn those types of hateful comments that could be incredibly dangerous, and so we won't stop doing that. I just don't have any internal conversations to read out or announcement to read out on that particular platform.
anyone here spoken to Musk?
And I don't have any conversations to read out, but we will continue to certainly condemn any type of
That's
hateful
not answering the
comments that,
question, bro.
again, are
Never
aimed
answers the question.
More funding is available for Ukraine, the military packages.
So that is something I would certainly refer you to Department of Defense. They'll have more information on the specifics on that, on your particular question.
Oh, so
But
you're
look,
not
this is
talking about
why
that
we've
no
been
more?
very clear
That was a
about the
big topic,
supplemental, about
y'all.
asking
That was
for
the biggest
additional Ukraine
topic.
funding so that the people, the brave people of Ukraine continue to fight against the aggression that we've been seeing from Russia. They're fighting against tyranny, right? They're fighting against terrorism, right? When you think about Israel as well and what Israel is doing and trying to fight against Hamas. And so that's why that supplemental focus on delivering for the American people. That's going to be our focus. We're going to focus on going to be coming out, which obviously. Question. Thanks, Steve. Go ahead, Rinjai.
Karine, what does the White House make of Democrats and particularly young people who say they do not approve of the president's handling of the
About time we got to the polls. About time.
Israel-Hamas war?
So look, as I'm going to be mindful, right, because there's going to be a number of polls that are going to be coming out, which obviously. Which we respect, and obviously that is kind of the way that things go. But what I'll be very clear about is we're not going to govern by polls here. We're going to or poll numbers. We're going to focus on delivering for the American people. That's going to be our focus. We're going to focus on how the president's going to, we believe, continue to deliver on what the American people sent him to do, right? Whether it's the economy, and let's not forget when the president walked into this administration, the economy was at a tailspin. And that was because of what the last administration did. And so we had small businesses were shut down. We had majority of schools were shut down. Large jobs were lost, and the pandemic was not under control. Now we understand the actions and the historic actions, legislations that this president has done. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. It's not
4
like
years
turning
ago
on a light
to
switch
say that
for people
still
to
the
certainly
polls
feel
had
that.
something to do with
But
Trump.
look, as it relates to
To do
recent
with his
polling,
last
look,
time.
we're going
Stop
to focus on
playing.
what we can do. We're going to focus on governing. We're going to focus on making sure we continue to deliver. I'm not going to go point by point on each poll, but I just can speak to you about what our focus is going to be moving forward.
Maybe polling aside, can you say whether this White House has a theory of the case on how you win over young people, whether it's on this conflict specifically or generally?
So look, as when we say win, I'm going to be very careful, right? Don't want to make sure I'm not speaking to 2024. That is something certainly that the campaign can analyze and speak to more broadly and how that looks for them and how it looks for that campaign, the president reelection. What I can say is we're going to continue focusing on delivering for the American people. That includes young people, right? That includes making sure that we meet them where they are. Whether it's student loans, whether it's an economy that works for all,
How can y'all
and does
y'all
not leave
still
them
putting that
behind.
student
Those are the
loans,
things
y'all?
that you see
Ladies
the
and
president
gentlemen,
do day in and day
Capital
out
is
as
not
we
doing
put forward
student loans. There's no
policy
way y'all
plans,
getting
and that
student loans.
includes
Quit thinking
young
that
people
student
as well.
loans is coming up.
I'm going to leave any of the analysis, any of the specifics to any poll, to dozens of people, certainly on TV, right? It's kind of cottage industry out there. They're going to analyze that. They're going to speak to that, leave that to them, leave that to the campaign to speak to winning young people or anything that's related to 2024.
Do you know what the president makes of the fact that so many young people are opposed to?
I mean, I can tell you this. The president is focusing on the job at hand. He truly is. He's focusing on how we're going to deliver for the American people. That is his focus, and that's what he's been truly steadfast about in the almost 3 years of this administration.
Thanks, Karine. How closely is the White House tracking what's going on at OpenAI, one of the most powerful companies in the AI sphere, the revolt there, mass resignations, and what does this mean for the recent executive order having to do with AI?
So on the first question, look, we're not going to comment on any private company. We never do, especially as it's changing any personnel decisions that they make as they make those changes. As it relates to the executive order, a very comprehensive executive order that the president announced not too long ago on AI, our message to tech companies continues to be clear. They need to assure AI systems are safe before releasing them to the public. We're going to continue to make that clear, have those conversations. But as it relates to personnel decision made by private company, we're just not going to comment from here.
And then sticking with the tech theme, Twitter is back in the news. I mean, not Twitter, TikTok back in the news because of misinformation about the war, about Osama bin Laden. It's now been more than 2 years that the CFIUS investigation has been underway. Can you give us any kind of update on where that stands?
As you know, it's an independent committee investigations. Just don't have anything to comment on that.
Man, I hate how she be holding out like I can't talk about it, I can't comment on it.
Senators are having some talks this week about an immigration deal that would unlock Ukraine aid. Is the White House plan to get involved with those, even sit in on them?
I'm just not going to negotiate from here.
You mentioned the president's excited to be celebrating his birthday, but I'm curious, David Axelrod told the New York Times, quote, Biden thinks he can cheat nature here and it's really risky. A, what's the president's response to David Axelrod? Does he respect his opinion? Does he think he's right? But also, I mean, is there a real alarm happening behind the scenes that the president is simply too old to stake around for another 4 years?
No, there's no alarm happening behind the scenes. I can only speak behind the scenes here. There's no alarm happening behind the scenes, and I'm certainly not going to comment on everybody who has something to say.
David Axelrod
I didn't say that. I didn't. Nowhere in my response to you that I said that. I said I'm just not going to comment on everyone that has a comment to say. They're going to speak for themselves. I'm going to speak for the president, and here what I'll say is, look.
Here's one thing you need to do before buying anything online. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this.
And also, it's just not my job. It's not my job to think through or to tell people what to think, right? Whether it's the American people out there or a political analyst or as your question is about David Axelrod. It's just not my place to speak to that. What I can speak to is how we see this, what our perspective is.
Yeah. I just want to see what she was going to say about the polls. We heard how she said she covered up, like she's going to leave that to the campaign people. Man, it's smooth. I got a story out in Dalton, another mayor. We talked about this not too long ago, but now I got another mayor that, oh my God. Basically, man, this mayor basically did the same thing, went on trips, but you just won't believe when this mayor get confronted by people, her reaction or how she addresses herself. You're just not going to believe. You're going to think this is made up. Stop playing.
Okay, people, this is probably one of the craziest stories you're going to hear about a corrupt mayor. First, watch this clip.
Nobody knows something. Don't nobody know nothing.
Tiffany Henyard certainly isn't shy about attracting attention. Here she is starting a Dalton Village board meeting dressed like the Wesley Snipes character in the movie New Jack City. Later punctuating her political points with the help of her own DJ.
Every single resident. Pay me what you owe me.
Is she talking to the, now this is a lady that's talking to the people. I know y'all not ready for no stuff like this. This is too deep for y'all to understand. Y'all gonna get all upset and get mad. Y'all really not gonna get to the depths of this, but y'all really need to get to the understanding. Y'all need to get to the grasp of see how this lady is really talking to us. Cause she's talking to us kind of fucking reckless. This is what you would call reckless.
Thank you, DJ.
Now, if starting a town hall meeting as a crack dealing gangster isn't enough, check this out.
Furious after a Fox 32 investigation found this registered child sex offender on the public payroll.
A sex offender, you don't give them
carte blanche to go into different people's homes.
46-year-old Lavelle Redmond is close friends with Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who in September hired Redmond as a code enforcement officer without the village board's approval. Redmond served 25 years in prison for the brutal gang rape and beating of 2 young teenage girls in the 1990s and was arrested and charged after our first story aired for violating the
Yeah, I don't think this is a problem. Yeah, I don't think that me sharing these stories out with y'all, because I know y'all don't hear these stories, are important. Yeah, I don't think that I do. It's important that I try to discuss things that I feel that needs to be discussed. This is what's happening in Illinois. This is in Illinois. And y'all be like, let's go back to the Midwest. I'm so scared to go back to the Midwest because of stories I come across. And I got family members that sit up here that don't understand the politician part and that don't, you know what I'm saying? They don't care. They're like, it's not affecting me, but it's affecting your cousin. I don't know if I got anybody in Dalton, but if I do, man, y'all, I feel sorry for y'all in Dalton.
Thank you, DJ. Now, if starting a town hall meeting as a crack dealing gangster isn't enough, check this out.
Furious after a Fox 32 investigation found this registered child sex offender on the public payroll.
A sex offender, you don't give them carte blanche to go into different people's homes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. That's the American way. You give a nasty
46-year-old Lavelle Redmond
rules.
is close friends with Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who in September hired Redmond as a code enforcement officer without the village board's approval. Redmond served 25 years in prison for the brutal gang rape and beating of 2 young teenage girls.
25 years. Damn, that's a long time. 25 years he spent for something like this, dog, and we still let this man. Wow. Just because he from the homie. He the homie from the block.
Girls
Hey,
in the
y'all, she was Jenny from
1990s
the block.
and was arrested and charged after our first story aired for violating the reporting requirements of the sex offender registry. But Mayor Henyard says her friend deserves a second chance, infuriating a number of Dalton residents. Fox 32 has also obtained this cell phone video showing Redmond interacting with the mayor and little children at a back-to-school event in Dalton. Notice the badge on his waist.
So you got that? She literally hired a child blank offender to go into people's homes under the color of law. And that person is hanging out with children. Crazy. And, you know, I hate to say but wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. See, the mayor went on I would like to call it a spending spree. And what do I mean by a spending spree? I mean going out and just throwing away the town's money. For instance, she had to get called out by the local town city council because she spent $148,000 on a Chevy Tahoe. Now, what is a Chevy Tahoe generally cost? Now, I went to Chevy.com and said, well, how much is the most expensive Chevy Tahoe on the market? The Chevy Tahoe, this is the fully loaded four-wheel drive Super, right? This one, manufacturer suggested retail price of $79,295. This is the top of the line model. This is
Top of
what
the
you
line,
get if you got
dirty.
some money. Now listen to how much the mayor didn't buy it for, but leased it for. Listen to this price.
I sat here and looked at a lease that y'all was paying $149,000 for one of them trucks. You make absolute, that's like when you 19 years old and you go get a car and the interest rate 27%. That makes absolutely no sense. You're not making great finance. Excuse me? Please stay facts. But let me tell you.
Okay, so you got Limelight Skittles mayor up here. Yeah, I call it Limelight Skittles because you see how bright it is. Now, this lady over here that's in this 3-printer is the one that's talking, that's putting her on Front Street. Like, this is what you doing. And she like, stay facts. Limelight Skittles is like, stay facts. So hold on. Hold on.
Here
She
it
gonna
is,
hit you with the
dated
facts.
December 27th.
Not in black and white. Not in black and white.
2022, the cash price of a 2023 Chevy Tahoe, $93,216.71. Interest and APR, $55,929.49. Total.
They jacked the interest rate up because they were like, you know what? You know, it's the taxpayers' money. It's not coming out of my pocket. This is what people in Dawson was paying for her to ride around in luxury.
Lease price $149,146.20. Tell me if it's not facts, because your signature is all on it.
Ooh, Tiffany A. Hilliard. And she's still finna deny this, y'all. She's still finna deny this. I'm just gonna put this out there. She's still finna deny. I'm just gonna keep it 100.
I don't see that. Okay, but
she don't see that.
I don't. All right.
I'll
but
get
at
my
the
statement
end,
in a
at
few
the
minutes
end
when
of
you
the
finish.
day, it's not about going back and forth with you. It's about making financial decisions that is in the benefit of everybody and just not one person. And you can't seem to understand that.
Yeah, that's double the price, right? Double the price. It's about 70-something thousand, and they're spending 150,000 not to own it, but to lease it. Insanity. Now we have more. We have so much more we have to talk about because it's insane. But let me at least introduce you to who we're talking about. This is Tiffany Hinyard. She's 37, and she was elected the youngest mayor in Dalton history. And she was elected in 2021. Here is her election.
Yeah, I voted her in this, and I seen this in other people's podcasts, and I'm starting to really see that this was a movement after Obama. Like, it was a real strong movement. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really pay attention to the bigger politician. I was so big on just presidency. Now that I'm starting to see that smaller places around the United States of America started to do this black way just because of the skin color, I'm gonna vote you in. I should have hopped on board and just been a politician myself. Fuck it. I'm really starting to see, like, y'all just maybe, it ain't too late. It ain't too late. You don't know me that well, but maybe I can do it.
The new mayor says she has big plans for the village of Dalton. She wants to boost the economy and curb crime.
Are you ready to take your oath?
Yes. Tonight, Dalton's new mayor, Tiffany Hinyard, sworn in.
Dalton residents, I am reporting for duty.
Hinyard, now the first woman and the youngest person to ever be elected mayor of the South Suburb.
Tiffany didn't just shatter that ceiling. She brought it all the way down.
Now, as the super mayor, you need a super mayor security detail. So you have local police. Why not just have them be your 24-hour private security service? That's what this mayor did, paying them absorbent, crazy amounts of overtime.
I love this part right here because either somebody don't know how to do math or I'm truly 100% jobs that I pick out. I'm picking out the wrong jobs. I need to find out how to go pick out jobs like this. There's jobs out here
Listen
like this.
to how much
I need to go
overtime
find jobs
these
like this.
officers are
This
getting.
is
And then
awesome,
we'll come back on the
awesome job.
Hinyard began assembling her details shortly after being elected in 2021, using hand-picked Dalton police officers. Using a Freedom of Information request, we obtained the work records for 6 of the officers assigned to Hinyard's security detail at various times. The officers are paid every 2 weeks, which without overtime is 80 hours. But when they're put on Hinyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours, sometimes 200 hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a
303 hours you worked. Man,
week
You
period.
can't even do the
That resulted in a
math.
single paycheck of more than
$1,300.
$13,000.
Oh my God!
In
You
fact,
can't
there
even
are
do the math.
336 hours total in 2 weeks, meaning Young was not being paid for only 33 hours over that period.
So do you really understand how crazy that is?
Tell him.
There's only 336 hours every 2 weeks. Total. If you just every day, 24 hours a day, just do the math. So that means on average, if you do the math, he only wasn't paid for 2 hours every day. So he was paid for essentially 22 hours every day for 2 weeks straight. Did he not sleep? Did he not, like, there's no lunchtime, no nothing? And people want to say, I think this is legit. I'll approve 303 hours in a 2-week period. What? So then the town board said, you know what? We need to have some oversight of this mayor. And guess what the mayor did? She locked them out of the building so they couldn't meet. They had to meet on the street. You think I'm joking? Check this out.
Good evening to you. The mayor locking the trustees out of Village Hall tonight, forcing them to have a meeting out in the parking lot, all of which has Dalton residents shaking their heads in disbelief.
Are you still only getting a job on your birthday? Then you need the new and improved Fleshy Pro 2.0. It's the automatic you-know-what machine that turns a quick one into a near mystical.
We had a quorum, we had the clerk, and we had a board meeting outside.
Why the pushback on her part, you think?
Well, there's things on the agenda that she doesn't want us to pass.
So what's there for the mayor to do? Well, hey, they can't meet, so let me go spend some more of their money in Las Vegas. Check this out.
And then there are the trips to Las Vegas.
Now y'all see why I played this. Y'all see why y'all played this? Because when y'all come to my city, when you come to my town, when you come to my home, when you come to my village, when you come to my block, nigga, we know. We gonna spot you. We gonna spot you.
Mayor Henyard and other top officials traveled to Sin City in May to attend a shopping center conference. It's unclear if it helped Dalton land any deals.
Don't have a clue. We're all in the dark. Not only are the residents in the dark, but the trustees are also in the dark as well.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
You don't know if you were in Las Vegas?
Of course I do.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
Actually, yes. The credit card record.
Y'all see the can't, man. We are working hard every day for our dollar bills. We want to pay taxes. We want people to leave us alone. We want to make sure they're doing right. But then you got stories like this that happen. But then y'all say y'all don't care. People, y'all say y'all really don't care. Y'all really cool enough to sit back and just smoke weed and say, yeah, I'm just good enough with just this little bit that pops off like this. Is that what I be hearing from y'all? Okay. All right. Okay.
Records do shed some light on tax dollars spent at several restaurants near the Strip, including Cafe Hollywood and Hot and Juicy Crawfish.
All right. Any other questions?
So you're not going to answer how taxpayer dollars are being spent? That seems odd.
I just answered it. What do you mean? I just answered your questions.
You said you wouldn't answer about Las Vegas.
You asked me a question and I responded. So any other questions you may have?
On everything from steak dinners to hotels and $3,741 just on Henyard's round-trip flight.
But I shouldn't have to sit up here and break all this down.
When trustees refused to pay a big block of bills this week, the mayor accused them of putting vital city services in jeopardy.
We need receipts to understand what's going on.
Now, I know what you all are thinking. Why? Because I know my fans. You guys are thinking, well, why not just recall the damn mayor, right? And get her out of there. They tried that and it failed. Check this out.
Now to campaign 2022. In a recall fight in Chicago's south suburbs, people in the village of Dalton voted to kick the mayor out of office.
Now, shockingly, the mayor won. The mayor went to court after she was recalled and won.
How y'all doing? Ain't no stopping us now.
All right, karaoke night apparently at City Hall. That's Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard kicking off tonight's board meeting with her rendition of the 1979 hit Ain't No Stopping Us Now. The reason for the throwback jam? An appellate court ruling threw out a June recall vote that would have removed Henyard from office.
So this is a law channel, and I have to explain to you why she actually won. So in a state like California, being able to recall a politician is in the Constitution. So there's no issue there, right? You just want to recall you, that's it. In Illinois, they don't have any such mechanism. So at the local level, the local trustees would have to have created that rule, created the mechanism to recall the mayor, which they did. Now, the law provides that when you put that on the ballot, are we going to recall this mayor?
That's a shame that trying to do the right thing and the law actually worked in somebody's favor and we were trying to do the wrong thing. Now, if this happens all over the place, then I'd be like, okay, people are allowed to say that their vote don't count. But it was something that was put into place.
The people then have to vote on that. And if that's approved, then you have to have another election to actually recall the mayor. But in this particular case, they did both in the same election. They had the vote to establish being able to recall the mayor, and then they had the vote to actually recall the mayor all in one shot. So the court said, well, that is unconstitutional. You first have to establish the mechanism to remove the mayor, and then have another election 6-7 months later to actually remove the mayor by that mechanism. It's unconstitutional to do them at the same time. So super mayor won, and now is able to serve out her term until the next election. All right, so it's kind of like, what do these people do, right? They tried to get rid of.
That is crazy. Yeah, no matter how we look at it and break it down to sauce, bro, that is crazy. That is phenomenally crazy. Somebody is up here fucking up your taxpayer money, doing things that you do not approve of, and getting away with it because of a flaw like that. I know there's a called flaws of all flaws, but there's a flaws of all flaws. Shit. Flaws of all flaws, but that's a flaws of all flaws. Last but not least, just to get into a good story, because you know he's my boy, and I went the whole day damn near not talking about him, but there have been some release of the January 6th tapes. This guy said the reason why they didn't release the tape at first is because he didn't want to give supposedly terrorists, which was dumb, because I think terrorists knows just as much as anybody else know that want to know that's going to take the tour of the White House is public property of the Capitol. You know, this is weird.
It is the greatest political offense against the Union by a president of the United States in our history. Nothing comes close to it. A
criminal offense.
The attempt to overthrow the result of a presidential election through a political coup.
Did y'all see that?
To overthrow the result of a president. The attempt close to it. A criminal offense. The attempt to overthrow the result of a presidential election through a political coup and the
This is what I showed
mobilization
y'all the other day.
of an armed violent mob
This is what I showed y'all the
cannot
other day.
really be compared to anything else a president has done. It makes the Watergate break-in look like the work of Cub Scouts. I just hope that we're telling everything we know in a competent and effective way to the American people, because Madison said that in a democracy, the people have the right to the most awful truth, which is the truth about the nature of government and their rulers. And
y'all see
we
that
need
police
Americans
officer
to
opens the door.
look very carefully.
This is tape that I was saying, but the whole point of the plan is just so you can hear the man talk about how bad it was. And he went on national television because you know that these tapes are getting put out in segments. We're not getting all of them at once because it's supposed to be over 100 hours. Over 100 hours worth of tape. And I can't wait till they release it so you can see
what happened.
Y'all still think this is and they don't have no sound, so we're gonna just talk through this. He ain't even got his head on a swivel. He's just standing there. Ain't nobody doing nothing. They just walking. He got.
I showed this. I just want y'all to play and see that one part, bros. Not gonna play his whole thing. Just let y'all know, like, bro, it really is like he's finna get off of that January 6th because now that y'all finna see. And I'm glad they releasing the tapes during the trial so people on the outside can get a different take. And yes, the judge is going to hear about how we look at things and take for our decision. Y'all know that. I know that. So this is MSNBC.
We're back with one of the most significant.
This is a better something new, something a little bit different.
Days in court yet in Donald Trump's coup case because Jack Smith thinks it's important enough to secure the fairness of the case and the plan he has to try to present his evidence and convict Donald Trump and then possibly send him to prison, that he needs this Trump gag order. So that went to the appeal today. We have the audio from it. We don't usually get that kind of thing. So we have a lot more to get into here. And as Maya and I and David were just discussing, a big part of this case is not just the gag order, which is procedural in the trial. It's the underlying violence and election crimes that are being adjudicated throughout the country. You heard me mention people are presumed innocent unless they plead guilty and get convicted. Then they become convicts. And in Georgia, not the D.C. case, we have seen that happen on some of the smaller offenses. Indeed, right now we have the former lawyer for one of Donald Trump's co-defendants in that RICO case. You may remember former Trump attorney Kenneth Chesebro cited not only in Georgia, but also in this Jack Smith case. I've told you about these overlaps. He's co-conspirator 5, unindicted in the DOJ case because of the fraudulent slates of presidential electors that were being used to, quote, obstruct the certification. That's in the federal Jack Smith Trump indictment. Chesebro played that role on those electors. We know that. He's convicted for a version of that in the Georgia case where he struck a plea deal. Now, we don't know whether he'll remain an unindicted co-conspirator in the federal case or ultimately having pled to
He pled for a plea deal that had nothing to do with the trial case, the Trump case. My bad. So I don't know why he's throwing that collusion out there still.
Similar issues in Georgia face further charges. We have a very special guest as we look at all these issues together, and we always try to understand all of it with the people who are involved if they are willing to come out and take questions in public. That's what journalism is, and I'm thrilled to tell you that the former lawyer for Kenneth Chesebro.
Man, they love doing this. I'm not finna hold y'all too much longer, man. I made my point. I put out my videos. I showed more things that, you know what I'm saying, is going on to let y'all know that it is real. It's going down. Burn live, man. Hashtag these red eyes. Changing the rivers are red. Y'all have a good morning, good afternoon, good night. See you next time. Peace.